guys. So for this project, I want to start out first by showing you how I edited my photos to get reference photos that actually look like these designs that are this high contrast black and white images. So this is the finished project. And I converted each one of these photos. They were actually all colored photos that I found either on Pixabay or several of these came from an actual photographer who allows artists to use her photographs as reference photos. So we're going to go to this is my iPad. And the first thing I'm going to do is pull up Facebook, and I'm going to show you, oops, I'm already in it. I'm going to show you where I get a lot of my reference photos, especially like horse reference photos. So you want to go to Artist Reference Photos by Karen. And once you find her, you want to follow her because she's always uploading she's an awesome photographer. So from here, we're going to go to Files, and then we're going to click on this PDF file, and I just want to view the file. And then here is the links to all of her albums. So this is the photo that I'm looking for. We're going to look for this one. And it's located in Horses, Low Key, and Silhouettes. And here is the photo, the original photo. It's right here. But you can see she has some great shots. And there's even more. You just hit see more photos and it'll load even more. But all of these would probably work. Maybe not the white ones that are white. And don't pick a horse that's got a blaze on the face. But anything that's got where the sun is shining and hitting it, those will work well for this project. But anyway, I'm going to pick this one. And then I'm going to save this file to my photos folder on this computer. So I'm going to pull up my photos, and here's the file. And then I'm going to go to Edit. And sometimes your photo editor will have presets where you can come down here and find something that is kind of similar to what you're looking for. On this, Silvertone would actually be very close to what I'm looking for. But if you don't have that, I'm going to show you how I would manually do this. So we're going to go to Edit, and then I'm going to come down here and find Contrast. And I'm going to, first let's go to Saturation first. Sorry, let's go to Saturation first, and we're going to remove the saturation. That's going to turn it to a black and white photo. Then we're going to go up here to Contrast, and we're going to dial that contrast way up. You could almost go all the way up. If you want a little bit more, you can just find where you want it. I want it pretty much all the way up. And then just hit Done. And this is the reference photo that I used for this image. So I'm here, now I'll show you how I painted these. So once you transfer your image to your rock, you'll want to use titanium white. If you don't want such a stark contrast, you could use like an unbleached titanium white for this project. Once I got started, I first tried glazing the color on, and I didn't really like the way it was looking. So I did kind of experiment a little bit and just went with very small, thin line paint strokes. The other thing is, if you're using this Serral tracing paper like I do, you'll want to erase back some of your design. I found that made it easier to cover up the tracing lines. So that's why you see I had to grabbed my black paint to try to cover up some of the tracing lines, and then decided that just erasing it back a little bit worked better. So here I'm just kind of cleaning up kind of a little bit of the mess I made in the beginning while trying to figure out exactly how I wanted to go about doing this. And I found just very tiny little thin paint strokes was the best method for me. And none of these am I making any kind of real solid lines. All of it is just tiny little strokes. And I did thin my paint down just a little bit, kind of starting out with a glaze, thinned it out with water, started out with more of a glaze in the beginning, and then build my color up, build up that contrast in layers. You know, it's always easier to go darker, starting out light, going darker. It's always easier to build up that contrast as opposed to just starting off with a high contrast and then realizing that that was too much. And by using these little bitty strokes, it creates the fur effect on the horse's body. And I'm using my Holotype #1 paintbrush for this because I can chisel that edge. I've talked about that in previous videos. I can chisel the edge, or I can make it into a point. And for this, a lot of it, I chiseled the edge to create those long, thin strokes, or short. They're actually very short, thin strokes. And for the mane, that is a longer stroke. But again, keeping them thin. And you can see here, I've slowed the video down so you can kind of see my strokes as I build up the contrast in his muscles on his back. And I forgot to mention in the very beginning, if you are going to use like Karen's photos, any of her horse photos, and she has other things other than horses, you want to make sure that you give her credit as being the photographer for the reference photo that you used in your artwork. You'll want to do that with any artist's photography. You always want to give them credit and make sure you ask permission to use their photos. She has kind of done a blanket approval, but I believe she requests that you do reference back to her. So you can see I'm just using really thin strokes for the mane, and then very tiny short strokes for the body. You can even use dots in places. It's really going to help build up that, by building up the layers and getting darker as you go in the areas where you want the higher contrast. It's really going to create depth in your painting, even with something that's this simple with just black and white. It takes a little longer, but the finished product looks so much better. And you can see when I'm doing the long strokes for the mane, my strokes are very deliberate. I'm not just, doing a fast swipe. It's more methodical. And that, I know my hand kind of covers everything up here, but it gives you more control by doing a slower, more methodical stroke. It gives you more control of where that stroke's going to go. So I'm going to speed this back up here in a minute, and I'm going to just let this run through where you'll, I believe I have 3 of the 4 horses here. The last one I was running out of room on my phone, so I didn't get it recorded. But I think 3 of the 4 are recorded, or most of it. And I'll fast forward through that, and you can just watch how it kind of all unfolds. I did struggle a little bit trying to get the eye shine just right on the eye. Depending on where the eye shine was, would make him look like he was looking towards the viewer as opposed to kind of looking away. So I had to kind of keep playing with that to get it right. Now I'm taking that black and kind of breaking up parts of the mane. So if you get too much of the white in a color, you can take the black to break it back up. I'm also using the black to kind of clean up any areas from where I erased the line drawing where I erased it back a little bit. I'm using that black paint because that paint is the exact same paint that I used on my background, which is just a flat black. So we're just kind of cleaning up some areas here. And adding another layer where I want the brightest sections to be. I'm still fiddling with this eye. This eye gave me fits. It was So thank you for watching. If you like this video, please hit like and subscribe. It really helps my channel grow. Also, make sure to share this video with your friends. So thanks again. I hope to see you in my next video. Now here is a sneak peek of my upcoming tutorial.